Richie collection I have finally transferred to digital audio tape.
Well, you aren't the only one caught up in 80s nostalgia, Richard. I mean, God knows I love my Bow Wow Wow albums. And game programmers have figured out a way to play the old arcade games like Pac-Man, Asteroids, and a slew of others on the PC. And the best part is, you don't need any quarters to play.
Pac-Man, Frogger, and of course, Donkey Kong. Remember these arcade games? The games you wasted countless hours and all your hard-earned allowance on? Well, you've probably noticed that they died with the 80s. But thanks to an emerging trend in arcade emulation, they're being resurrected for the 90s on your PC. And the first thing you'll need to play these games is something called an emulator.
So how do they work? Well, an emulator is a program that runs on your home PC and allows it to behave exactly like one of these old arcade machines.
Oh! Michael Cuddy is the programmer responsible for reviving games like Journey, Tapper, and Tron for the PC.
The companies have long, tossed these machines in the dumpster and have long forgotten about them. It's only the emulator scene which is sort of bringing them back.
And for Cuddy, emulating old arcade games is really a labor of love.
I sort of feel this is my homage to the original arcade authors. They gave me a great piece of my childhood, and wasting away in the arcades.
Now, an emulator won't work on its own. Just like your home PC, nothing's going to happen without any software. So where does the software come from? Well, a few ingenious souls have figured out how to copy the software out of one of these old arcade machines, and they've posted some of those files on the net.
And the internet is where you'll find the most popular emulator, M.A.M.E. M.A.M.E. supports over 140 games. Games like Asteroids, Bomb Jack, Mario Brothers, Zaxxon, Centipede, Millipede, Mr. Do, Kangaroo, Rally X, Carnival, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, Pango, and yes, the list goes on. And according to Cuddy, playing these games on your PC sure beats trying to dig up an old arcade machine.
Wow.
If I had room in the house, they'd be inside.
Well, the funny part is these are the real machines, but they live in your garage.
Yes.
The emulations live on your desktop.
Well, these take up most of a room. And the emulation doesn't take up any more space than the computer that I already have to have.
But it can't be that easy. All the burger time you could ever want for free? No quarters? No questions asked? Well, there is one question, one of legality. Technically, playing these games with an emulator does infringe on the original owner's copyright. But Game Center's John Marin says many game companies aren't too concerned.
This is a small, relatively small number of people compared to the rest of the gaming industry. So there's no economic threat there, really, because it's free.
Instead, Marin says, game companies are more worried about emulators that could someday simulate games for the Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation, and Nintendo 64. But that's okay, because it's the classics that many in the emulating community long for anyway.
This is really a way to keep the nostalgia going. Sure, there's hundreds of games coming out every year, but people really want to play the old stuff because the old stuff was just as fun to play as a lot of the new stuff is.
That Desmond Crisis is the prince of the joystick around here at CNet.
Quite a title.
He has some old computers. He doesn't have to emulate. He has the old Commodores. He's quite a guy. Find out more about emulators and games. Check out our website at www.cnetcentral.com.
You'll find links to all of the websites we mentioned on this week's show, as well as an archive of past episodes.
And be sure to check out cnet.com, our parent site. It has great resources about computers and the internet.
This week, you'll find a review of easy-to-use web building software, plus a feature that debunks some of the myth of the year 2000 bug.
Well, that's CNet Central for this week. Thanks for tuning in and logging on. Excellent.